This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated with another true crime of insurance fraud video, this one number 80, entitled What a Great Country. Ping Chen was trained as a physician in Hong Kong. Until Hong Kong was returned by the United Kingdom to the People's Republic of China, he was best known as an orthopedist in the Crown Colony. Fearing problems with the new government, he emigrated to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, as a citizen of the Commonwealth of Nations. He worked as an employee of the National Health Service for a year, and then obtained a work visa to the United States and crossed the border into the U.S., only to find he could not work as a physician without a license from a U.S. state. He attended a U.S.-based medical school, and after 1 year of medical school, 1 year of internship in a Seattle hospital, and 1 year as a resident, Chen was able to restart his life. His first effort upon receiving a license was to apply to the U.S. government's Medicare and Medicaid systems for a medical provider number, which would give the government the ability to deposit funds electronically into his bank account without having to wait for a check to be received and collected. Dr. Wo was a very good doctor, and his practice grew rapidly. He found most of his patients were poor and could only pay through one of the government programs. He was not, as in Canada, an employee of the state. He had to live on the small amounts that Medicare or Medicaid considered proper for the work he did. Each of his invoices was scrutinized, and he was never paid what he billed, even though he knew, from meetings with other physicians in Seattle, he was billing reasonable and proper amounts for the services rendered. Frustrated and earning less every year than the year before, although he was working harder and longer hours, he told his tale of woe to a colleague over a hospital lunch. "Woe, my friend," the colleague responded. Don't be upset and frustrated. It is time you use the system to your benefit." "How?" Wo asked. "You know the people that review your billings are not physicians. They're key punch operators. If what you bill fits within the requirements of their computer software, money goes into your account in the amounts required by their computer." "Yes," Wo replied, "when I speak with them to challenge their decisions, they speak like complete idiots." "Use their stupidity to your benefit." "How do I do that?" "Use the CPT codes." "But they just describe services." "Yes. So if you do something for a patient that is listed as a 0.2, raise it to a 0.3. But that would be dishonest." "No, because they base their payment on the code, and the payments are not realistic, so raising the code up one level will get you paid the correct amount for the services actually rendered." Wo took the conversation to heart and found payments deposited into his bank increased to amounts reasonable for the services he was actually rendering, even if it was not as described. His billings were never questioned. The information went from Wo's office computer to a government agency computer that automatically sent money to his account. His youngest daughter had found a husband, and he was facing an expense of over $100,000 to pay for a traditional Chinese wedding and reception. He did not have the cash. He did, however, have a large list of Medicare and Medicaid patients in his database. He knew from experience that no one in the U.S. government or their agents would check his billing. He had served the public at low rates for many years. He decided to obtain the cost of his daughter's wedding by using his computer. Woe created invoices for 300 of his male Medicare patients for an office visit and complete blood test at $250 each. He dated the service carefully, so he showed only 10 of the 300 patients each day for 30 days. He did the same for 300 female patients for an office visit, a pelvic exam, and an X-ray to check for potential broken hip, each for only $250. By the end of the month, $150,000 was deposited into his account without question. He now had the money for his daughter's wedding, and he did not have to work for it. This is a great country, Woe thought. They send me money when I need it without requiring that I work for it. Dr. Woe knew that the practice of medicine is truly hard work. The earnings of physicians were continuously being reduced by insurers and government agencies. He was getting old. He attended 2 medical schools and was still borrowing money to pay off loans he took to finish school. It was time he considered funding his retirement. As part of his practice, he spent half his time at the local hospital. He had problems with his office computers and hired the information technology person at the hospital to fix his system on a weekend. They became friends. The IT man finished his work at the office and sat down for some coffee with Dr. Woe. "So how is the practice treating you, Dr. Woe?" "Not bad, but the insurance companies and government keep cutting what I receive." "It is tough. I wish I could help you." "You can," Woe replied. "I will pay you $100,000 more than your fee if you give me a CD-ROM with the identification information of 100,000 hospital patients who are Medicare or Medicaid recipients." "Well, I'm not sure I can do that, Dr. Woe. I would lose my job." "Okay, I'll give you $150,000. The IT man delivered the disc the next day and received $15,000 in cash from Dr. Woe as a down payment. He used the disc to submit billing for each of the 100,000 payments for the same office examination, X-rays, and a complete blood count. 2 weeks later, $25 million appeared in his account. Dr. Ping Chen transferred the money to his bank in Hong Kong, closed his office, and moved back to Hong Kong, where he retired a very wealthy man. No one questioned his billing. No investigator checked on how one doctor could treat 100,000 patients in a month. No one cared. Dr. Woe did not consider himself a criminal, nor did the United States government. He just played the system, knowing that it was operated by people who did not care as long as the correct boxes in the computer were checked. His crime succeeded because he was not greedy. He only did the major crime once. The computer operators at the Medicare payments offices never noticed that he did a cervical exam on an 83-year-old man named Louis Jones. Insurance fraud is often successful, as it was for Dr. Woe, because the governmental entities have little incentive to even look for fraud, investigate criminal conduct, or even try to do the job for which the government employees were hired. Dr. Woe was correct. This is a great country, and it gives away other people's money to anyone with the gumption to ask. That includes my money and yours, and Dr. Woe's success offends me and should offend you. This video was adapted from my book, Insurance Fraud Costs Everyone, which is a supplement to my 2-volume treatise on insurance fraud called Insurance Fraud Second Edition, all of which are available as Kindle books, paperbacks, and hardcovers from Amazon.com. If you viewed this video on Rumble, please click on the Rumble button, and if you viewed it on YouTube, please click on the like button, and subscribe on both. Thank you for your attention.